so for someone who I guess is just starting his or her career into that industry, what is the, I guess, the typical route to get there?
So I can talk about my failures as well as successes, so that failing and getting rejected is okay as you're trying to get onto this path. And this is, I'm only going to talk about my personal journey, because everyone's journey is really dependent on how much effort they put in and what works for them. For me, right before joining this team, my current data science team, I was in marketing, like I said. But before I even could get to the stage of being interview ready, I spent around 3 to 4 months intensely. Like, my working hours were spent in work, and every single non-working hours, including post-work, weekday hours, and weekend hours, in studying and getting up to speed with what is data science, and getting at least some technical expertise that I can put in front of the interview. So that was one part. Building your technical skills is an important part of it. Now, if you don't have an experience, and every single job description you read says they need 4 years of experience, how do you beat that? Like, that's the next question. So the other thing that I had working for me, which can be replaced by something else, and I'll tell you what that something else is. But what worked for me is, I had a few projects in my background where I had done data analysis that I could actually, they weren't public projects, but at least I could share that internally, saying, look, I've worked with data, and I have done this analysis that you can see as a part of my skill. So I'm not starting from zero, even though I've been in marketing. And so if you're looking for a career change, I would encourage you as well to look for many data related projects within whatever team you're in, because every team has some sort of a data. Every team is trying to make some decisions or has some stakeholders. So I would really encourage, try to find wherever data exists and see if you can work with that data and have an outcome that at least you can share internally. Now, what about external hunting? So building a profile, especially if you're doing a career change, is extremely important online. And this is something where I was telling you where I failed, is exactly this part where and I'm still building it, and I would encourage everyone to start building it, which is your public profile in terms of your Git projects. Create a Git repository, place public projects that you do there. If you're genuinely interested in data science and you're learning data science skills from anywhere and you're doing projects, put them in your Git repository as a public link. So which is something that you can, when you're sending an interview request to some company or some person, individual person, make sure you share those projects that you've done in the past, or share your Git repository link, share your LinkedIn, if you have public papers on LinkedIn that you worked with data on, share that with them, so that they know that even though they're looking for experience and you may not have that, you have built an experience by yourself. And no, it doesn't exactly replace a master's or a PhD degree, but it's not necessary. It's the experience ultimately that they count is what you've actually worked on. And the only way to showcase what you worked on is to actually do the work and put it in a public place. That is the journey, like, I think works pretty well for trying to transition into a data science career. I was able to share my work from the past that really helped. And the other things that I was able to share was, like I said, a part of my day-to-day work is understanding business context behind the data and communicating. So you also need to showcase those skills from your current career. And the great thing is, you may not be working on data today, but I'm pretty sure you're communicating with someone. So as long as you can showcase those extra skills as well that you need to be a successful data scientist, I think you should be in a good position.
Okay, I think one quick question from the audience. I think since you mentioned that your background was in marketing,
Yeah.
So someone was just wondering if actually Microsoft did teach you um, most of the data analytics, or is this something that you learned on your own on the job, like you said?
I learned it on my own. Right now, I'm in a team where I have a lot of people around me to learn from, but I had to learn a lot of the analytics on my own because um, I wanted to work with the data, and those data skills weren't exactly in marketing. Not a lot of people know that data skills. And there's no formal training okay, in marketing that you're given for a data scientist. If you're in a data science team, you can receive a lot of good formal training, but not in the marketing team. I went through a lot of online resources to get myself up to speed with R and SQL. Now, not all the resources were good. So I think I can either share now, or I don't know if there's going to be a question, Ronnie, later. But the two resources that really, really helped me, one for SQL was, I think, Sadie Lawrence's course on Coursera. She was, it was one of the better SQL courses that I'd taken. And the other one for R, it was Matt Dancho's Business Science University. I luckily came across that course because I'm signed up to a bunch of RStudio email threads when I started learning R. And so I came across that course, and I think those two courses were pretty much a game changer for me. So I did spend a lot of time on that courses, and then I came across these courses to get myself properly up to speed with the technology.
Okay. Yeah, that was actually one of the question from the audience was the tools and resources. So you touched on, I guess, the tools and resources that you used in the past, basically to get started. But
Yeah.
is there something, do you still have tools and resources that you're still using today just to keep yourself up to date and making sure that you're keeping up with the industry?
Yeah, so there's constantly good books that keep coming out of this RStudio community. I focus a lot of my time on learning R, and the resources I constantly use is Twitter. It's surprisingly extremely valuable in data science job that I never thought Twitter was in any other job I've had before, because there's a lot of influencers on Twitter for data science, and I usually follow our community, but I'm pretty sure there's a good Python community as well. Hadley Wickham, who works in RStudio, I constantly read his books. There's a few courses online that I do on DataCamp. Matt Dancho from Business Science University that I talked about, he constantly comes up with new courses and webinars. I make sure I attend almost all of them and start any course the day he launches. I just take that course. And so this is the one super important thing that if you're looking to move into data sciences, the day you stop learning is the day you stop growing, and that day you don't, like, you're no more a data scientist, because the technology is changing so fast. New things are getting introduced so fast that the basic level of data science is not sufficient anymore. So you have to constantly continue to learn, and these are the resources I rely on nowadays to continue to learn.
Okay, great. And I just saw, I think someone was wanted to for us to post the exact title of those courses. So if you can, after this, I'll follow up with you. You can give those to me, and I will share them by email to all the attendees here. I will send you the exact course names and where you can find them. So I'll do that after. And quick question, and I know you touched a little bit on that, but I was just wondering if you had to put, I guess, some kind of priority for someone who's just starting in the job application process in terms of, resume. That's where it starts. So I know that you said to basically make sure that you are, even if you don't have to do the experience, you still can find, make sure that you're coming up with something that basically got you involved either in a business, working with the business, with data, but can you give us a little I would say more pointers in terms of what would be the 3 or 5 things that that should absolutely be present in a resume, ideal resume.
Yeah, so your GitHub link and the languages that you're most comfortable with. Don't put a language you're not comfortable with just for the sake of that. And a lot of tech companies, unfortunately, it's not the best process, but kind of in an automated manner go through resumes. So make sure you understand what kind of terms their job description has that they want you to do. And make sure that your resume is reflecting those exact terminologies. If you're able to do it, if it applies to your background, and if you are indeed actually able to get data inferences and data insights from the past, then use those words, especially if they're present in the job description. Most of us usually tend to just like build our resume once and then throw it out for every single job. But make sure that you read the job descriptions very specifically. And in this process, like I have faced rejection quite a bit during the initial applications, but even if you're able to get a first or second round of interview with any company, any team, just even if you're not like 100% sure, make sure you still have use that interview as a stepping stone to say, okay, so this is what an interview looks like, and this is what's expected out of me, and this is the terms that they were looking for. Make sure after an interview, whether it goes good or bad, always ask for feedback through either the HR person or the person who interviewed directly, whatever that company is comfortable with, and be okay with hearing that this is a set of skills that you didn't have. That helped me a lot during the rejection phase, actually. So I knew what I needed to work on. And so in terms of resume, make sure you have the Git profile available, the public Git profile. Make sure your terminologies match the job description of that specific company, and the technical skills that you're actually capable of and you're proficient in versus just have dabbled in.